Hi, it's Justin Shore from Chronicles of EMS with your 60-second life-saving tip of the day. Today we're going to talk about what to do after you called 911. Well, congratulations on your life-threatening emergency. I'll be there in just a few moments in the ambulance, but before I arrive, I'm going to need your help. Number one, I need to find your house. Make sure your house is numbered and I can see it from the street. 4-inch tall letters should do. And make sure they contrast. Don't put white numbers on a white house or black numbers on a black house. If you can, get a light above it so I can see it at night. Secondly, turn on your porch light so I can see exactly where I'm going. While you're there, unlock the front door or even crack it open a little bit. That'll help us get in safely and securely and help you and your loved ones. Until next time, this is Justin with your 60-second life-saving tip.
The first place they had the two-tiered system. Start cars.
King County.
Medic
King.
One, yeah. But going back to this not only being a community, but what kind of spurred the community to grow was this idea of filming us together. And the community really came together and donated money to make it happen that first week. Can a web series change EMS?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, I think so too.
Why haven't we done it?
We're into realms of
I think you're running something
new media. It's still called new media, and as you know, there's still various companies and services that still shy away from it, and it's so new. Maybe web series haven't changed things before, because everything's changing the way we view media, the way we watch it on iPhones, mobile phones, laptops, mini laptops, everything. It's becoming so much more accessible, and because it's so much more accessible, it's very easy to be sitting on standby or post and say to your mate, "Hey, have you seen this?" And you sit and watch it together, and then it spreads.
Consider this too. 30 years ago, or 40 years ago, when this all began, we had radios that were on low band or high band. We broadcast a radio signal over another radio channel that made a squiggly line on a piece of paper for the doctor at the hospital. That was an EKG. We didn't do 12 leads. Technology has gotten better and better and better. Things have gotten smaller and smaller. We're able to do things in the field that nobody imagined we could do, even 10 years ago. CPAP? Nobody thought we could do that. People were vent dependent and dying in the ICU with CHF because we'd stick tubes in their nose or tubes down their throat. Now we can put a mask on their face and they walk out of the ER 10 hours later. They're not even a full admit. It's incredible. So as the technology gets better and you start carrying these phones around that can do all this stuff, social media is going to start chasing the business.
Would it be safe to say that perhaps our industry is hesitant to accept this new media because of the way we kind of skirt privacy and the privacy laws?
HIPAA plays a huge role.
And it's because they don't have a direct control over it. It's so easy to type something and press send or post.
But I'm starting to notice, even in the short year that we've been communicating online, and I'm sure you've seen this as well, we're starting to police ourselves.
Yeah.
This community is really starting to watch out, and when we see, it's happened a couple times that there have been bloggers sharing information that they shouldn't, that we know is inappropriate, and they are flooded with responses from those of us who want it used properly.
But sometimes it's not deliberate. There was a tweet came around the other day with a look at what I've just been sent to, and it was a photo of a terrific screen, computer screen, and he cut off everything, all the names and everything, but there was still the case number, and it was direct message straight back, "That's identifiable, you need to get it down." And it was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry, I didn't realise," and then, and it's that awareness that's coming from it, and if we want to be seen as professionals, it comes back that same thing. We have to be seen to be a professional person. We have to hold ourselves and our colleagues accountable for what we do out there.
So, not only building the community, but tending it. We all have to tend it. We all have
That's
to be
all
a part
our
of it.
responsibility.
Exactly. There's nobody shaping where we're going. There's no one watching us. Nobody holding us down. Nobody holding us up.
Well, it shows too. The people that tweeted or whatever it was or posted back on those things and said, "Hey, look, you put a case number on there." Those are obviously people with compassion for the patient. They care about the patient because they don't want their personal info shared.
Exactly.
And that's where this group of people is proving out to be the compassionate and caring group,
And whenever
an active group.
and whenever I've done anything like that, sent an email or sent a message, I always finish it by saying, I'm only doing this in the hope that you'll do it for me one day if I slip up. Because none of us want to do it. None of us want to breach confidentiality.
No.
And we don't so far.
And you don't want to lose that person that's willing to share
No.
by chiding him.
Exactly. We don't want to exclude voices unless they're shouting, saying things inappropriately. You know, new media can be easily abused, like you said. People posting pictures of patients, of their dwellings. I mean, this is stuff we all know is a no-no. But
Right.
some people get frustrated. They get angry. They don't like their employer for whatever reason, and they choose to vent it in a way that can really hurt the profession.
And
Absolutely.
it takes just a few bad posts like that for an employer to look at it and say, well, I don't want you doing this. I know at my service it's hard for me to be able to blog and tweet and have a podcast because he's saying, where do we draw the line? Is this a violation? And it took just a few bad eggs for him to see, well, oh look, this person posted this and they got sued for this. So I don't want that to be our company. So
I mean, it's such an issue that our next episode of Round the Table is going to be all about this.
Exactly.
You know, that we're going to spend time and discuss this much more about, the blogging and the social media and the legislation and the impact that it has. With the Chronicles, what that's sort of taken out of it because, we're governing ourselves. A comment that was made last night, I can't remember who said it, about was there any physicians looking over this?
Oh, AJ Heitman.
And this is more about our clinical portrayal of what
Yeah,
Justin did.
editor-in-chief of GEMS pulled me aside and said, did you have any physicians look over your tape before you put it out? Did anyone review it? And I said, no. We followed protocol, and my motto, if you do everything right, nothing goes wrong. We didn't need a physician to look over the tape to make sure we did everything properly because we were doing everything properly.
We're showing how it is. Therefore,
Exactly.
how it is you wouldn't have a physician on your shoulder saying, yeah, no.
Now, I'm sure you can go through frame by frame of the episode and nitpick this or nitpick that,
Yeah.
or, oh, look, he's doing this, and why didn't he do that? But really, when it boils down to it, if I put Mark Glencourse in your ambulance, and I put 3 cameras and 2 cameramen in there, we will find something wrong with every single practitioner in this country if we try hard enough.
Absolutely.
But trying to look past nitpicking and trying to look past what could this become? Where could this go?
the big picture.
Exactly. It started as 2 guys wanting to learn more about each other. A bunch of other people got involved, community sprung up, and everybody's supporting us doing this.
I think a good point was, I'm sure a lot of people, the followers will realise, but not everyone will, the whole thing from that eventful podcast with the EMS Garage with Chris and Ted, who just so happened to be on there 4 days before I was due to fly out.
Yep.
And what you've seen last night on the premiere was done with 4 days notice. It was right, I want to be involved, I've got this vision, and we wanted to share what we were doing as well, and this sort of quality has come out of that. What we are hoping to do now with the time to plan and the time to take this further is just encompass so much more, and I'm excited to see where it's going to go.
I think we all are.
Yeah, and just another comment in the chat room here, the computer that's got a seat at the table. One of our viewers, one of our listeners actually right now, is wondering, we're showing interaction with patients, and are we interacting with the community? Are we going out there and showing the community what we're capable of? Is this the kind of medium, this video, this production quality that Mr. Ted Setla is giving us? Is this something that could finally bridge the gap and lead us into the confusion that is community education for pre-hospital care?
Well, I hope it could be.
I don't know.
really
I
do.
mean, every time it seems like we try to, we need to get out there and tell people to quit smoking and eat right and exercise, we kind of get beat back down as, well, you can't tell people what to do. Well, we can tell them they have to have smoke detectors. We tell them they have to have sprinklers. We tell them that they have to have, all these different things, doors open certain ways. But why can't we tell them, if you're healthy, you won't need us? Could this be a way to possibly get their attention and not tell them those things, but still teach them those things, maybe possibly indirectly?
Like the patient advocate on a really bigger level.
Like a public advocate.
Yeah.
I don't know if we would fit that role or if we deserve to fit that role.
Mhm.
Sure we do.
The way that this has already turned into so many different things. I mean, a year we've been talking,
Mhm.
and we've reached this point. Where will Chronicles be in another year?
That's the exciting part.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it's evolved in something even more profound,
That would
even
be
more
neat.
earth-shaking.
But what we're finding already is from meetings we had last night. Last night, the premiere was the biggest and best networking party I have ever been party to. I've ever achieved. The people who were there, and the people who've got the potential to help take this further, and some things that are in the pipeline for EMS today, is going to be huge for the Chronicles of EMS in getting it out there even more. And it really is a step up now. We always said last night was going to be the starting point of the Chronicles. It was an amazing response, the people who came down, the people who were in the chat rooms. But for me, it feels as though it starts now. You know?
Even sharing simple things that you do differently in one part of the country or in another country that you do differently with a different part of the country can only make the practice of pre-hospital medicine better.
Absolutely.
Even state to state. It's not even country to country.
County to
It's-
county
Yeah.
here in California.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
People don't know what the people next door are doing because they never bothered to ask. They think they're paramedics and they're doing the same thing.
And even more importantly, why are they doing it? A lot of what we do
Absolutely.
pre-hospital has just been kind of, well, we've always done that. Well, we've
Absolutely.
always used drug B because
There's a
drug B
lot
has
of
always
myths.
been in the kit.
There's a lot of myths to pre-hospital care, admittedly. And every time we figure one out, everybody bucks at changing the way the myth is explained or told or removed.
The conversation changes.
Absolutely.
But the facts remain obscured.
That's what Wayne's just putting there nice with the public misunderstanding of what we do, in his humble opinion, is our biggest enemy.
Absolutely. Everybody thinks
Certainly.
that every firefighter's a paramedic and that every paramedic's a firefighter. They don't know.
And whose fault is that?
It's our
Ours.
fault. That's
It's
our
ours.
fault.
Yep. Every time you try to explain it to someone, I'm an EMT. I drive an ambulance. All these different things, all these
You're
different
an
things.
ambulance driver.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're an
That's
ambulance
so-
driver. You're not a practitioner. You're not going to help me. One thing that drives me nuts, and it didn't come out on the Chronicles. I think Ted cut it on purpose. Is a lot of people tell me, just do your job and take me to the hospital already, and I have to stop them and say, check my job description. That's not in there. That's not my job.
But
Bring
how
both
cool
to
would it be
hospital.
for you to develop into what I could say? Do your job and take me to the hospital. No, my job is to tell you you don't need to go.
My job is to assess you for any life-threatening illness or injury, and not finding any to get you the proper care you need to make tomorrow better than today. That's the role of a paramedic.
Yeah.
If you need to go to the hospital, let's go.
Yeah.
If you need a treatment, let's get it to you. Let's get you to somebody who can help you. That's what inspired this. And the first time I read your post,
Oh God,
for those of you listening, Mark is laughing right now.
it's not about that.
I started reading Mark's blog, and this whole thing got started because he wrote about respond, not convey.
Yes.
When he went to someone's house and told them no. And I was having a rough week. You can go back on the blog and read about that time. I think it was December or January, 08,
January,
09.
February.
January,
09.
February. And you can read my blog, and it's dark, and it's angry.
The angry medic?
The happy medic, well, I don't get angry, I get disagreeable.
Okay.
How's that?
Okay.
Better words. But I was having a bad week, and I started reading about this paramedic on the other side of the world who could do what I want to do.
Be a diagnostician versus a stretcher monkey.
Exactly. Yes.
How many times are we going to say the same thing? Professional clinicians.
Yes, professional clinicians. But how long until everyone who's discounted us as ambulance drivers recognize that that's what we are? Can we prove to them that we deserve that title?
Well, it's got to come with education.
And I say we,
Yes.
and I apologize that I mean mainly American paramedics. It seems a very different dynamic when I was over riding with you of a healthcare team. Some of them were in hospital, some of them were out of hospital. And here in America, at least in the systems I've been in, both rural, urban, and suburban, it was kind of a competing teams, the pre-hospital team and the in-hospital team. And there's just a different dynamic there. And that's something, the working relationship between the different people was something that I loved learning from Chronicles of EMS. And I'm curious to put Mark on the spot and ask him, what was the most interesting thing that you learned in America?
It's a negative for me, which I guess is being honest. The most interesting thing that I learned from America is that I don't ever want to see the fire brigade and the ambulance service join in the UK. It's so ingrained in our country. The divisions are there so much. I can't ever see it coming together. So that's one thing. The positives that I saw, which I didn't see, which I wanted to see, but I know about through reading your blog, is the treatments that you've got for your patients, especially cardiac patients. And I would love to have that. And it'll come because everything follows. America does it 2-3 years down the line. It'll sweep across Europe and it'll come to us. Because hopefully all the mistakes have happened. And it'll come to us.
We're gonna trial everything for you, Mark, and then you guys can just
we'll
pick
get
it
it when
up
it's
from there.
safe.
Yeah.
But the most interesting thing was just being part of the system, and what encompasses that's not the right word. What has overwhelmed my experience of visiting San Francisco and riding out with you is what's happening now, and the fact that I now know more about America and the world than I ever would have done without meeting you, without making that contact, and without becoming part of the Chronicles of EMS. And it's just, sometimes it becomes information overload. You're just trying to take so much in.
Yeah.
But that's what being part of such a huge community is bringing to it.
Well, I think you need to think too, as you think about where we go from here. Since the 1966 white paper, the death and disability, the whole thought of an EMT that was brought up. And it was just a class for a while, and now it's becoming more than that. We need to look at setting standards. There are programs across America where paramedic is an Associates of Science degree. We need to think about making the EMT the Associates of Science and making the paramedic a bachelor's degree.
But that's just happening. What I found out last week was in 2 years' time, possibly it's coming, in 2 years' time to re-register as a paramedic, you're going to need at least a foundation degree in paramedic science.
And I think that's very much necessary. Because for us to be seen as professionals, we have to bring that level of education up, and that ingraining that this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
The rest of your life in the medicine field has to be reading and making sure that you stay up with what's new and what's going to help your patient. And what has happened, I see in my experience, is that you get folks that'll go to EMT school and become paramedics to get jobs in the fire service, and they let their paramedic lapse, or they don't pay attention to keeping it as the top sort of thing in their mind, the best skill they can do or the best thing they can do, and they just sort of let their abilities go away.
And that's one of the first things that I wanted to see when I came over here. Because from reading your blog, it always seemed that you were a competent, capable firefighter, competent, capable paramedic. And before we came over, is it really possible that you can keep up to date and proficient with both of them?
Yes.
And you can, because I've witnessed that myself, but can everybody?
Well, you can if you want to.
Yeah.
You know?
You have to want to.
Yeah, but you can have someone who's a proficient, brilliant clinician, a paramedic, who can recite, I said this the other night, who can recite baseball statistics for the entire league, for every player ever. Does that make them any less of a paramedic just because they spend time memorizing other things?
Not at all.
Of course
and
not.
in fact, that shows that he's got the ability to memorize everything there is to know
So-
about a drug.
So when you look when I look at, can I be a good paramedic and a good firefighter? Absolutely. Can I be a good father and a good husband? Absolutely. They don't have to overlap, but where I am, they do. So why not be as good as I can at my role?
You need the desire. And a lot of people lack that desire.
You have to want it. It's not easy. You have to be,
And
the word keeps going around, you have to be passionate.
it brings it right back to that. You have to be passionate and compassionate.
You have to be willing to pick up and fly to San Francisco to watch a 20-minute show.
That's right.
That's what it takes.
It's
Luckily,
a
I
life
live
commitment.
here, so I don't have to fly too far.
We just sit in traffic forever.
Exactly. So, favorite part of the show now?
All of it. I really enjoyed seeing the dynamic between you two on screen. Just how your point at the very end, when you got kind of upset and walked away, you know, like you were worried about the bill. Don't worry about the bill. How many times do I say that a shift? You know, honey, don't worry about the bill. But Mort made a good point, and I never thought of that before. Like, you're right. Like, I'm not gonna pay their bill. I can't. I live on a paramedic salary. I like shoes too much to pay for your bill. But I never thought of that before until I saw it, and I was like, Jeebus, that's so true. Like that, I had never, and that's what's so great about this. I would have never thought about that until I saw this. And now, I'm gonna go back to Louisiana and I'm gonna think really hard about that next time I transport someone and they ask me that. I'm gonna think of Mark.
Yeah, but you're still not going to have an answer.
I'm not gonna have an answer.
It really does.
Not until we change the system. Not until that happens.
It really brings you this much closer to the whole healthcare reform debate, because now you're sitting next to somebody who is affected by it 100%.
Right.
They don't have insurance, and you just cost them $1,000 by putting them in the ambulance and driving them 3 blocks.
I put them in debt.
How dare you?
I know.
How dare you save that person's life?
So what was your favourite bit to finish off?
Your accent.
Yeah?
Your ruggedly handsomeness.
Oh, see, that's just going to stimulate the bromance.
My favorite part of the show, or my favorite part of this experience was on Market Street, your last run on Engine 13. Do you remember? The scooter accident.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, it was a little rainy, little scooter accident, single, just laying in the street.
Like a scooter or like a Razor scooter?
Like a little
Moped.
motor scooter. He was delivering
Okay.
food.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
little motor scooter guy. And we had to take full C-spine precautions because he had a small cut over his eye.
Anything?
He's got trauma above the clavicles
Yep.
per protocol. If I,
But what happened was, we were on the engine.
yes, we
engine?
were on the engine.
So Justin was there, and everyone, what I comment on, like, everything's so fast. You know, you arrive and spinal board, and everyone's doing everything. And obviously, I have to stand back a little bit, and I'm looking. And by the time I got out of the cab of the engine and walked around and sort of kept my distance a little bit, the helmet was coming off, the board was going in, and I'm looking, and I look at the moped, and there's like no damage on it. And I'm looking at him, and there's no damage on him. And you look, and all it's been is he slipped on the metal grate of the truck or whatever. And I just leaned over your shoulder and I said, why are you spinal boarding him? Has he got neck pain? And he was like, no.
I'd already assessed no neck
I
pain.
said, so why board him? Because we'll get sued if we don't.
Right.
And my assessment would have been, have you got any pain anywhere? And he'd give him a quick once over. No neck pain, no. Can you touch your chin to your chest? Can you turn side to side? Does that feel okay? No pain, no nothing.
Mhm.
Right, up you get.
And I can make that assessment because of my training and education to this point. I can do that, but my medical director will not allow me to do it.
Mhm.
In the county right next door, you can make that assessment and not put them on a board.
So
and I
if-
bet you
if
all
he
the
goes
people from
another-
Maine that are
If he
blonde
goes
right
another
there,
4 or 5 miles south, he can get up, brush himself off, get back on his scooter, and drive away.
Yeah.
and all the folks from the East Coast that follow what Maine said are probably writing on the message board
But
right
it's
now.
exactly what Wayne says.
CYA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
CYA.
Yep, it should
There
be
are
right
places
under
where you're allowed
right
to clear
under
the spine.
EMT on your shirt. Should be CYA.
There are places where you're allowed to clear the spine, and there are definitely places where you're not allowed to do
But
that.
that was my favorite part of the show was when Mark leaned in and, why are you putting him in a collar? Has he got neck pain? I said,
'Cause
Nope.
I have to.
I have to.
And that's what's it's funny. We have the same amount of almost the same amount of education as paramedics, you know, basically. But Mark is allowed to do that and we're not. And that's what like irks me. Why? I'm younger. I'm not a great paramedic yet. I have room to grow.
There's no grey there yet.
It's not yet. It's getting there. But you know what I'm saying? Like, why can't I do that? Like,
You're fully capable of doing that, but the people that run your EMS
It's the
system,
system
won't
that
let
won't
you do
allow
that.
you. Like I said on the show, we will approach the same patients in exactly the same way. We will do our assessments, and at the end of that assessment, we will all be thinking, "There's nothing wrong with you. You don't need to go." But it's just our systems that either allow us or stop us from doing it.
right.
The other thing I liked about that part when he was talking about the speed and you were explaining the golden hour to him. So you guys have homework. When you go to Maryland, you have to go to R.A. Cowley and visit the Real Trauma Center, the first one in the country,
Absolutely.
and talk to those folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe take a camera on the state police helicopter.
I
And
think
feed
getting
and
on the
see their trauma system.
getting on the state police helicopter would be good. Anybody in the chat room with connections, Maryland State Police, let us know.
MSP. Yeah.
Any of those critical care paramedics out there that went to Baltimore, hook them up.
Yeah. Help us out. Any other thoughts about the show? We made a TV show. I don't know if you knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Well, it's a web show.
Yeah.
I guess web. Can we call it a TV show?
I think
That's
you
what
can.
I'd call it as.
Can we?
It's
Can we
just
make
it's
that
being
decision
broadcast
here?
on the web.
Because I would
TV.
fully expect this thing to get picked up by some TV network eventually.
Couple commercials.
Yeah, there you go.
I'd hit series record.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
cops, but cooler.
I think so.
Somebody actually said that in the chat room. Like cops, but different.
But real.
Cooler.
No guns.
Yeah.
Yet.
Just these guns.
I don't know. There might be a part of the country. Might be a part of the country we go to where the medics carry weapons. Might be a neat place to learn
Los
how that
Angeles,
dynamic works.
some of the sheriffs are paramedics down
Yeah,
in LA.
like-
Maybe we can hook you guys up with riding down
But
there.
that's what. See
What
what I mean?
Yeah.
You sit at a table and someone says, "Have you seen what these guys are doing?" It's like, no, but let's go.
Yeah.
And let's
That's
share
fine.
it with everybody else.
Let's find out. So,
Where we go from here, anybody knows.
yep. Only time will tell.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Thank
Cool.
you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Good talking. And thanks everyone in the chat room. Great comments. Glad we could have you guys along to chat with us.